This past offseason was really crazy and really unexpected for so many different players. Just thinking guys like Wonder almost was teamless and really might have been teamless if it weren't for the whole Adam upset drama, which is really crazy to think about in some ways. I mean, Wonder is probably, for sure, one of the best, if not the best, Western top laner of all time, especially like just resume-wise. Reckless, one of the best 80 carries of all time in the West. World finalist, obviously Wonders and MSI champion and a world finalist. Reckless, he's in the ERLs. But at least those guys are both on teams. They both ended up in pretty good situations. Fnatic is going to be one of the best teams in the West. K-Corp is going to be probably the best ERL team. And then there's Mikyx, who didn't end up on a team at all. And a lot of people are saying, oh yeah, Mikyx, he'll be back soon. He'll be back in Summer Split or maybe 2023 or whatever. But will he? And what team is it going to be on? Is it going to be LCS or LEC? Just what's going on with Mikyx? That's what I'm talking about in this video today. So definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy it. I would appreciate that a ton. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content, and consider checking out that first link in the description below for the new merch that we just dropped a couple of days ago. Help support my content and my channel and get something pretty cool in return, hopefully. That'd be awesome. But with that being said, let's get right into this. So, I've been thinking just about what could potentially be next for Mikyx, and I had this clip actually come up across my YouTube channel from one of these, channels that just post stream clips or whatever the heck. And we have this clip from Mikyx talking about, it's just called G2 Mikyx Talks, NA offers being a G2 sub, Broken Blade, and Flocked. And Mikyx actually answers some questions that a lot of people have going on right now, and I want to give my thoughts and opinions about it. And then also talk about a little bit, what the future might have in store for him.
I met new G2 players in person. I've met Broken Blade and Flocked in person. I didn't meet Argamas. They were boot camping quite early in the off season, and I was still in Berlin, so I met them. But yeah, are you technically still in G2? Yes, I am. I'm technically a sub. Beast.
So that's kind of interesting. He is saying that he is still technically on the G2 roster. It's not like they have him signed as a content creator or anything. They have him signed as a player. He is technically a G2 sub. And that has led a lot of people to wonder, hey, Targamas is kind of an inexperienced guy. He's not exactly a proven guy. Yeah, people think he has some talent and potential, but is he going to work out? I don't know. If he doesn't, is Mikyx gonna come back in? Is Mikyx gonna save the day? Even though obviously G2 seems like they moved on from him, is Mikyx an option? If Targamas does struggle, and the rest of the G2 is looking pretty good, would they consider bringing back in Mikyx? And Carlos has put a stop to these conversations for the most part. I know recently, maybe it was Thorin or maybe it was Reddit or Twitter or something, somebody asked like, hey, Mikyx's still on your roster. Is there any chance we could possibly, maybe, worst case scenario, Targamas just absolutely sucks. Could we see Mikyx in 2022? Carlos said no, period, flat out no. We will not see Mikyx playing for G2 again, so kind of put a stop to that. Like Mikyx says, technically he's a sub for G2, but he's not. He's just going to be streaming and creating content under the organization until they can eventually sell him off, or until his contract runs out, or however this thing plays out. But yes, there will not be, at least according to Carlos, not a chance that Mikyx plays for G2 in 2022 or ever again.
Basically. Are you interested in LCS offers as well? Depends, I guess. I was, but I still prefer Europe. Like I basically want to stay in Europe, yeah.
So they ask him about getting LCS offers, and would you consider an LCS offer? And he says, yeah, it depends. I'm sure it depends on what team, the money, and the total offer, and what other offers he has from Europe as well. But then he kind of goes back and forth. He's like, I would rather stay in Europe, but I'm kind of considering it. And then he ends up saying, yeah, pretty much I want to stay in Europe. So he says he would consider an LCS offer, and it depends. But then by the end of it, within like 5 seconds, it seems like he talks himself out of that, and he's just kind of like, I'd rather stay in Europe. And I do think that makes sense, because when I'm looking at the LCS teams, I don't really see an opportunity for him to slot into any of these LCS teams anytime soon. You think the top 5 teams are really the only teams that spend any kind of money. And you got to think Mikyx's going to be relatively expensive, especially if it's to come over to North America, when he seems pretty content on staying in Europe, and a guy with his resume, he's not going to come over for nothing. He's going to come over and collect one of those, retirement checks or whatever. So looking at those top teams, Team Liquid, not going with Mikyx anytime soon. Obviously, they have Core JJ. Evil Geniuses, they just got Vulcan, who's one of the best supports, in the LCS, maybe one of the best supports in the West. Either way, he's a North American resident, and having a player that talented as a North American resident, that's going to be tough to, make the argument for Mikyx, especially Mikyx not coming off his best year last year. Is he worth using an import slot for a team like Evil Geniuses? Maybe, and would Mikyx even be interested in Evil Geniuses? I don't know, but I think Vulcan's pretty solid for them right now. 100 Thieves, obviously, they have Huhi. He's been pretty good for them. They also don't have an import slot open at this time, obviously, with Closer and Abadage, so they wouldn't be really interested in Mikyx. You have C9, who they have Winsome and Isles, so maybe they'd be interested in Mikyx, but again, they have Summit and Berserker as their 2 import slots. So that's not really an option for Mikyx either, and I think those guys are going to be there for the foreseeable future. And then you have TSM. Obviously, they decided to go young this year. They decided to go with the Chinese imports. Maybe that doesn't work out, but even if it doesn't work out, again, are they going to be going with Mikyx anytime soon? No. So I don't really see, this year or even next year, I don't really see much of this changing. I think we're going to see a lot of these teams sticking with the same philosophies and not really having a guy like Mikyx on their radar. So I don't really think it makes sense if Mikyx doesn't want to go to NA and would rather stay in Europe. I don't think it makes sense for a lot of the LCS teams anyway. So then I want to dive in to some of the LEC rosters and kind of talk about where I think Mikyx could potentially end up in the future. You have Astralis. Obviously, Mikyx is not good enough to join Astralis. Promise Q really has that position locked up for the foreseeable future. He's obviously one of the best supports in the LEC. So Astralis is just not going to be an option for Mikyx. I don't really see him fitting in on Excel too much. I don't know if Excel would want to spend the money on a buyout for Mikyx and paying him because, Carlos is pretty adamant on still trying to get a buyout for all of his players. And also Advian, who's probably their support for the future. So that doesn't really make too much sense to me. BDS, I think, could be an interesting landing spot for Mikyx. I'm not that sold on Limit. I think he's fine. I don't think he's that good. I think Mikyx would be a significant upgrade over him. Obviously, Mikyx has worked with Grabs in the past a lot, so there is some chemistry there. And Team BDS is actually a team with a little bit of money that could afford, the buyout and the salary of Mikyx. Now, I think it doesn't make sense for BDS right now because they're going very, very young. They're not really trying to compete for anything this year, but maybe next year, if this team BDS, if they have some players that develop, if they hit on some, of these young players and maybe pick up a free agent or two next offseason, maybe Mikyx could slot in here. Fnatic, I really don't expect to happen. You already have Hillsang there. I think he just got a new deal, so he's going to be there for a while. Mickey's not going to G2, or not going to Fnatic. He's obviously not going to be joining G2 anymore. Mad Lions has Kaiser. That's not happening. Misfits is another possibility. You have Mursa as your support, and I could see Mikyx fitting in with Misfits. This is another team that has some money. Misfits has tried to form super teams in the past, but Misfits is also a team who it doesn't make sense for Mikyx right now. Now, there's another team where, if Video and Schlatten keep developing into the future and they're really, really good, maybe next offseason, if they pick up another free agent or two, Mikyx could slide into this team. But right now, Misfits is going to be like a 5th, 6th place team, something like that. It doesn't really make sense to spend all the money on Mikyx in the summer split or anything like that. Rogue is another team that could make sense. Again, they have a good team. They were a good team last year, and they have Trimby as support, which I'm really not sold on, and I do expect Trimby to kind of take a big step back without Hansama this year as well. So, Rogue could be a team that come summer might be looking for a guy like Mikyx. SK, they have Treats. He's been really good. SK doesn't have a whole lot of money. I don't really see that making sense. And Team Vitality, I think, is one of the more interesting options as well. There are a lot of people that are very high on Lebrov, but being a part of a super team is going to come with a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations, and you're going to need results pretty quick. And, they're not really trying to develop Lebrov for the future. They're trying to have him be really, really good right now. So if he's that, he's going to have the spot locked up. But if Lebrov struggles in the spring split, if he looks like he's not cut out, Mikyx could be an interesting option for Vitality. So I really do think the 3 most likely landing spots for Mikyx, either in summer 2022 or into 2023, are going to be Vitality, Rogue, and potentially Team BDS as well. So that's kind of what I think is going on. I don't think there's any real clear favorite to get Mikyx at any time. It's really going to depend on who plays well, who plays poorly in 2022, and who's ready to pony up the money, because Mikyx just seems like a player that they need to get. But that is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. Where do you think Mikyx is going to end up playing? And do you think it'll be in summer 2022 or not until 2023? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date on all my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.